welcome back to the Stu Simpson Show podcast. And we're continuing the theme of the Camino de Santiago. I met some amazing people on my little journey, and one of the most beautiful and incredible and talented people that I met on the journey was a man called Patrick. Hello, Patrick. It's been ages. How are you?
That's me. Hello, Stu. Yeah, I'm very well. And you think I'm talented. Like I gave you the guitar that I was carrying from all the way from Crete.
Hmm.
And I'm like, yeah, cool, I'm feeling this. And you picked this up and you absolutely shredded on this thing. So
It
yeah.
was a cute little, it was a lovely little pink guitar. It was very, it felt like I was like, great, give the gay man a pink guitar. It was like, cheers.
Hey,
It
or
was
the
meant for
straight guy.
me. I was a straight guy, absolutely. So pink's not just for puffs anymore. It's for everybody.
Everybody.
Yeah. So how you been?
Um, I've been good. I mean, we've had a bit of an exchange over the past like couple of months. Yeah, covering the post-Camino blues, which has been a consistent theme within conversations among many of my fellow pilgrims who have come back to life and realized that they're actually at a crossroads. Life that, you know, they left prior to doing the Camino de Santiago is just different.
Absolutely.
And yeah, I'm no different from them or you. It has been a pretty challenging time just integrating some of the big lessons that I learned along the road.
Yeah, and it's also I think it's difficult for other people who know us from our pre-Camino life, and because we have changed. I think nearly everybody I've spoken to, the Camino has changed them in some ways.
Mm.
So what was the reason why you decided to do the Camino in the first place?
So I, like many other people, had seen The Way by
Yeah,
Martin Sheen and loved it. But, you know, it was one of those things where I'd seen it and I thought, oh, that'd be great to do one day. You know,
yeah.
when's one day ever going to be, you know? But one day came about 5 months before I started walking in September last year, when my partner Anatolia had a vision. You know,
Mm,
we had this big dream of walking the Camino de Santiago, or rather just going on some sort of life-changing trip. And we were umming and ahhing about what that trip was going to be and where it was going to take place. And we went through Sri Lanka, China, you know, let's go to Bhutan.
mm.
But you know, she had a coaching session with one of our mentors, and took her into a meditation, and all of a sudden she saw mountains and people with backpacks, and yeah, she just knew that it was the Camino. And when she told me, it was just an absolute full body yes from me
Mm.
to join as well.
Cool. And so when you say well, I assumed that everybody started in Saint Jean, but you mentioned Crete there.
Yeah, so I mean, for me, like, it was my first time in Europe, so it wasn't just the magic of walking the Camino. It was like walking through these like powerfully historical landscapes,
Mm.
which started in Greece, and then, you know, went to the south of France, and then finally we found our way to Saint Jean Pied de Port. But yeah, the first part of the trip was very much centered around visiting all the sacred sites in Crete and Athens and
Mm.
Naxos. You know, there's like three different places that claim to have the cave of Zeus, and
Wow.
um, yeah, but they're all great, you know.
Yeah. So it sounds like it was quite a spiritual. Was that your reasoning for going? Was it a spiritual journey for you?
Yeah, so I grew up Catholic, but I
Snapsies.
have since, yeah, yeah, I've since stepped away from Catholicism, because whilst I've always had a pretty close, and I guess in somewhat um impersonal relationship with Jesus.
Mm.
Don't really talk about this very much, but I've had like a few kind of mystical experiences over the course of my life where he's kind of been around or appeared. And I suppose one of the choices that I made along the Camino was to embody the agape of Christ. You know, that all-encompassing sense of love and compassion that he, like in his root, was trying to convey and teach and share with the world. And I wanted to use the Camino as a means of stepping more into that, among like many other things. So yeah, it absolutely was a spiritual journey, and I wasn't disappointed.
Excellent. It was challenging in many different ways. I mean, for myself personally, because I went for spiritual reasons, and also I was brought up Catholic, and there's lots of that stuff that I just needed to kind of like figure out where my relationship with all of that was. What were the big challenges for you?
Well, I'd love to hear what your challenges were, but I'm sure you've mentioned it in another interview, so I'm gonna have to like have a personal interview with you. Um, but there were a number of challenges. Like physically, I got the works, you know.
Yeah.
In all my hubris, I raced up, you know, the Pyrenees, and within 2 hours of making our descent to Roncesvalles, I had the most excruciating knee pain I'd ever had,
Mm.
and was effectively limping into Roncesvalles. And I struggled with that for the length of the trip, like, and struggled with the absence of, you know, my partner Anatolia, because she, like, I didn't want to be the one holding her back,
Yeah.
you know, because she was fine, you know, she's 5 foot nothing and was an absolute steam engine while I was just limping my way along every leg of the road. And then there was obviously the blisters. I got blood blisters as well, and then
Oof.
I got two of them actually got infected. And I had to take myself to Logroño and just hang out in a hotel room and kind of like just ease all of that stuff out of my feet. I'm not going to go into detail for
Yeah.
your listeners' sake, but it was pretty gory. Um, and finally that night, once I'd taken care of my blisters,
Yeah.
I got the worst fever I think I've ever had in my life. And I'm sure it was COVID or
Yeah.
something along those lines, but there was that, and then there were many untimely financial hits that I got along the way too. So I was kind of being hit from all these different angles, whilst, you know, Anatolia was racing ahead and having her own experiences with others. And yeah, I was really having to come face to face with whether or not I would even continue. You know, I ended up going to hospital in Logroño, and just like once they'd footed me the bill, kind of went outside and just like wept.
Yeah.
And that was really my breaking point. That was my moment of, okay, what else are you gonna take?
Yeah.
Because it was a moment of surrender too.
It's a bit like the dark night of the soul sort of thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
But you got through. You went all the way to the end. So what
I
was it?
did.
What was it like that managed to keep you going?
What kept me going?
Mm.
Um, a few different things. Just that life is taking it step by step. And when I got to Burgos, I actually took the bus to Burgos because I was so ill.
Mm.
And I just needed to rest there a few days, and I really wasn't sure if I was going to continue. But um, you know, I'd been playing a lot of music on the street, and was living this kind of comfortable existence, making a good bit of money, and staying at the different albergues and meeting new people, but something felt kind of empty.
Yeah.
And I just felt the road calling. And when I finally listened to that call, I said, I'm just going to walk 5Ks. And then, well done, Patrick. I missed the town where I was going to stay at. And I was like, what's going on? And ended up walking 10Ks.
Yeah.
And that night I met the most gorgeous people. This couple from Denmark, Thomas and Netta,
Hmm.
and they became really, really wonderful friends. And Thomas actually, and this is kind of a segue into my second thing that really got me through, which was music. We connected so strongly on all our experiences along the Camino and beyond that he actually wrote a lot of the lyrics for what became my theme song for the Camino.
Excellent.
Um, yeah, so it was really fun playing that. And I guess after all the pain and misery, just having these moments where I would sit down and just play. I would find myself surrounded by like 20, 30 people. I mean, you were there for like a
Yeah, yeah.
couple of them when we were trading songs, and all these
You
people would
had like
just
the
crowd
Patrick.
around us.
Yeah. Well, me and my friend Andrew kind of we coined that the Patrick effect. It was just like we turned, it was like, oh wow, well, all these people just came. Who's there? It's like Jesus. Maybe you were channeling some of Jesus' agape. You know what I mean?
Yeah, come to me. I will show you the way. No, it was like I think, yeah, I mean, as you know, it's a cliche, but music truly is a unifying force. And I think um that final thing, like the road is a unifying force, and everyone knows the challenges. You
Mm,
know, everyone has pain in some way, shape, or form, be it emotional, mental, or physical. And no one, like, I guess the real pilgrims who are walking that trail, like um want to make you feel any worse. In fact, they want to make you like just as not comfortable, but just they
mm.
want to support you as much as they possibly can.
Yeah.
And you were one of those people for me, and many, many others. Like when I lost my phone at Osabrero,
Mhm.
like in the middle of this, you know, hurricane that was going on up there. Yeah, for all the listeners, it's this steep mountain ascent, and I was just in a rage. I was just fed up, and I was screaming into the heavens, and
Yeah.
like my poncho was blowing all over my face. And that's where I dropped my phone at the sign saying I was in Galicia. And what a welcome. Like lost my
Yeah.
phone with all my like bank details and everything else. And I was just screaming. But the number of people who I told my story to, who stopped the day of walking to support me, to help give me internet, buy me coffee, buy me lunch.
Mm.
It was truly extraordinary. And that generosity, because I couldn't actually access my cards, the cash that they gave me saw me through to the end of my Camino. So I never actually had to withdraw anything else.
Wow.
Yeah, it
So
was
they did say the Camino provides.
100%.
And
Yeah.
it's not, but they also said, well, it's not what you, I might have mentioned this with Tessa, if you remember Tessa, I just did a
Mm.
podcast, which will be on next week for anybody listening. And she's basically saying that the community gives you what you need and not exactly
Yes.
what you want.
Definitely didn't give me what I wanted.
Didn't give me what I wanted either. Definitely give me what I needed. And I've come back from it kind of going, what? What am I supposed to do with this now? But
Ah,
I'm writing a thing, and I want to bring that to what you're doing because I'm writing because the way I got through my Camino was I met Andre and I followed the German because we got on so well, and that, because of my ADHD stuff, I find it difficult to. Um, I've learning difficulties when it comes to putting the stuff together and where I need to go next and planning things.
mm.
So I was just like, well, he's terribly German. He's
Trust
really
trust
very,
the Germans.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're very efficient. Let's follow the German.
It's not a cliche. Every single German I met was just so sharp with all of that stuff. Like
Astonishing.
it's not a stereotype.
No, it's just how
That's
they
just how
are.
they are.
Yeah, it's great. And it's what I needed. It's not what it
Yeah.
wasn't what I wanted because I was like, I'm doing this on my own, and I'm doing this to get stronger and to be and when I come back and prepare myself for being more independent as I get older. And
Yeah.
within 3 days, I was just like, I need you. This is,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
true. But that was a beautiful learning moment for me about the Camino. It's kind of it's lots of symbols about life,
Yeah.
and for me, it was kind of like actually you may feel like you're on your own, but you're never really on your own. The moment you reach your hand out, somebody will grab it, and they
Yeah.
go, "You're all right. Come this way."
Mm.
So
Yeah.
it was weird.
Yeah.
The moment I said that, I looked down and there's my tattoo.
Oh, there it is. Well, you
So
know what? He needed you as much as you needed him
yeah.
as well.
Mm,
Like that's the thing. We think, oh, if like I'm being helped by all these people, how could I possibly give back? And you're kind of forgetting all the times where you've been that person just
yeah.
in a different way. Like, sure, I may not have been able to buy people dinner the way so many other people did, but boy oh boy was I, like a listening ear and a hug when they needed it. And Yeah, like a lot of the women who I met along the Camino just articulated how safe they
Yeah.
felt. And it was kind of like, what do you mean safe? You know? And of course, like I understood, but like it just shocked me how that wasn't common
Mm.
in the everyday experience, but they felt it. And that for them was a gift that, you know,
Yeah.
I felt like honored to give. Um, you know, without trying to blow my own horn, it just kind of happened.
Yeah.
But I'm really grateful that I could give that gift back,
Oh,
even when
absolutely.
they
Yeah.
were
Yeah.
buying me drinks.
No, I think that's probably quite a common thing for a lot of straight men in the sense that a lot of women won't feel safe around them. So it is rare for a lot of for women to find a straight guy that they feel comfortable enough around to kind of just go, oh, he's no threat. He doesn't want anything from me in that sense. So that's quite a rare thing. But it happens to me a lot, darling.
Of course it does. I
For
mean, look how
different
lovable you
reasons,
are.
though. So talking of my project for the German, you've got a project. You've got an album.
I do. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's coming out very soon.
Well, so the recordings are going to take quite a bit longer
Yeah,
before they're released on Spotify and Bandcamp and all the different streaming services. But I didn't want to just sit with all of these experiences. I really wanted to integrate them, and the way I integrate experiences like yourself is through writing songs and being creative with them. And so I set myself the challenge over the past 21 days to complete an entire album's worth of songs to perform this weekend at a little venue in South Yarra called Centre Review. So I'm so excited. It's the first time I played with a band in 3 years. So I'm
cool.
grateful to the Camino for that.
Yeah,
And just the rocket up my bum to just get so many more songs done than I ever would have, and songs that are actually important for me to experience everything that happened along my journey
Hmm.
again.
Did you write the songs along the way, or was it just ideas from what happened along the way?
Um, Most of them have been written here in Australia post Camino, but five of them, yeah, I
Hmm.
wrote while I was still walking the road. There was the title song, which is I'm on my way to Santiago, which is, you know,
Hmm. Yeah,
the banger,
yeah,
the
of course.
banger of the
Yeah,
track.
yeah.
And then there was, you know, when I'd gotten to Pamplona and I was just so miserable, you know, this city where the bulls are supposed to be running and like there's tomato fights and, you know, all the other magic that
Yeah.
Pamplona brings. And here I am just sitting with my leg propped up and just smoking cigarettes with old men because I'm just depressed. Like my
Yeah.
legs just ruined. I'm watching all my friends disappear, and so there was that, and then there was the fever of Logroño
But
and
then we
the
had fun in Pamplona. We had fun in
we
Pamplona.
did, we
Yes.
did.
In,
I'm so
Ern-
glad that I stayed for that
in
reason.
Ernest Hemingway's bar. That was awesome. That was one of my favorite nights of the entire thing.
Iruna. Was
Yeah.
that where you met Andre?
No, no, I met Andre and Orison. Like really, like
Oh,
on day two, day three.
really early
Yeah,
on.
like really on.
Yeah.
So basically it was just kind of like, oh, we are meant to be. I've got to see him
Well,
in June.
yeah, totally. Well,
Yeah.
you also met me the night I got the fever.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
Oh, yeah. Where was that again?
that was in Logroño.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I'm trying to think if you were in Burgos or whether or not you met the Demon of Burgos. I think
I
I spoke
didn't
to you about him.
really. Who was the
Yeah,
demon of Burgos?
the Demon of Burgos. Well, I think, you know, everyone talks about like all these amazing people that they meet along
Hmm.
the way. And, you know, obviously there are people who we meet who um obviously we really don't get along with. You know, they're the person
Yeah.
who's been snoring for the past like 20 days right next to you, or,
Mm.
you know, stuff like that. But this guy just disturbed me.
Mm.
He was a man who I believe to be in his 30s, but looked a lot older than that. He was from
Yeah.
Wales. I later found out. And I arrived at the Alberg Municipal with Anatolia, and Burgos already had this eerie sort of feeling for me. And I walked through the front doors and had my guitar with me on my back, as per
Mm.
usual. And I hear this voice from behind me. good, you have guitar, good, we start a band. And I'm like, I turn around and say, hi, hey, cool, yeah, band, great. And then before I've even finished greeting him, he pulls out his guitar and he just starts
Oh my God.
playing. And he's looking at me like this,
Yeah.
just not quite at me, but through me, trying to
Yeah.
like get something.
Mm.
And I was just, what is going on here? And he kind of seemed to trail our group through the night and would
Mm.
just roar these songs, to the point where he was making locals uncomfortable, let alone,
Wow.
us. And these people see a lot of people, but
Yeah.
he was just, he had stuff going on. But what was really interesting was that, after, spending the night, like, just asking anybody that he could for cigarettes and booze, and like just trying to suck as much attention
Mm.
as he possibly could from the people around him. I saw him early the next morning, and he was just a ghost. He was just a ghost. It was almost like this thing had just come through him the night before.
Wow.
And it was just, um you know yeah, people had mentioned, yeah, some people don't make it all the way to Santiago. They get lost along the way, and he was one of those people.
Yeah.
Just this sad, sorry creature that was looking for connection but just didn't know how to
Yeah.
acquire it.
Wow.
um yeah,
No,
he was
what?
connecting with people, but not in a very healthy way at all.
No, no, that sounds quite disturbing. Well, I thought I'd met quite a, I didn't, not a demon, so to speak, but somebody I didn't get along with, John the Scot. And it was kind of
It was
looking back, it was amusing. Because basically, when I first started the Camino, I was just greeting people. So, hello, I'm Stu. I'm from England. Sorry about Brexit. It was it was just a way to break the ice. It was because it's one of my defense mechanisms is humor, and
yeah, sure.
so I was there with John, and he just, so let's not talk about politics. And the first thing he does is he sits down at the table, starts talking about politics, and saying how much. And I am not a Brexiteer. I'm very much a Remainer. I think Europe's a great thing, etc., etc., etc. The European Union. Um, and then he starts going, well, just because I voted for Brexit doesn't mean I'm an idiot. And I had a couple of Riojas, should we say? And I was like, well, I beg to differ.
Oh no.
Yeah, and so yeah, then I just basically got up and I was like, look, it's one of the reasons why I'm not in England right now. I've had enough of this, and I need to just be. But I thought my demon was bad. Yours sounds awful.
You know what? I thought he was bad, and then the next morning, this pirate-like figure rocked up, and like the demon was like disturbing, in all that he kind of like represented of this lost pilgrim archetype. But the like I kind of met another one of these figures the next day, like not long after I'd seen, the demon, or rather the man,
Yeah,
like post
yeah.
exorcism. And yeah, he was just this super belligerent, drunk, aggressive, pirate-like pilgrim
Hmm.
who, I've never been so close to punching someone in my life, but boy, oh
Wow.
boy, like the way he was acting, he would like he'd step in front of like cars that were passing the Alberg and just like would yell at them and say like, "What are you doing here?" Like, it's like, dude, it's not your city. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Um, like, yeah, I mean, and I'd met other people who were, you know, like as far as I was concerned, pretty distasteful. But like in the space of 24 hours, I just got hit with like a few whammies, and
Yeah.
like these two guys were just in this otherworldly kind of darkness that I hadn't experienced
Hmm.
much before, or rather hadn't got so intimately close to before.
Yeah. I met one very disturbed gentleman. But he had a kindness about him as well. But I think there's a touch of schizophrenia going on, maybe, but it's not my place to sort of diagnose somebody. But he'd had sort of mental health issues and drug issues along over the years. But he'd been walking for 16 years. God, I should remember his name.
What?
He's been walking for 16 years. So that's what he does. He's just a homeless guy, and he chose to do the way, and then it was really fascinating. Oh, I wish I could. He's in my He'll be in the book. So anybody listening, buy the book. It's,
Well, it's
but,
really fun. It's really funny you said it because everyone's got their story of like, the person they knew who walked the furthest or the longest. And I
yeah.
met a guy right at the end who'd walked all the way from the Black Sea
Wow.
to Santiago. And then after that, I'd met someone else who had walked all the way from Santiago to Jerusalem via Rome,
Yeah.
done all three, caminos, so
Yeah.
to speak. But 16 years, man, that
That's
that is incredible. That's Forrest Gump on a whole new level.
Oh, totally. And when I first met him, he was, I can't remember his name, but he was just beautiful, fragile. Um, he was like a grown little boy. It was that, and then he met this Irish guy, and they were drinking, and then I saw, and he did warn me. He said sometimes the demon comes out, and then
Oh God.
I saw him when he'd been drinking, and I was just like, oh, there it is. And he was like, oh, don't leave. And I was like, oh, I think I need to now. It's just like,
Yeah,
I will let this
yeah,
part of you be, and because I can't add anything or give any comfort in this moment.
yeah,
But if I come across your path again and and it doesn't feel dangerous, then I will interact. You just got to trust your gut on these things. Um, God,
yeah.
I was going to say something else. I can't remember what it was. Um, so, what do you think you got from the Camino? Um,
Oh, come on, man.
is that too heavy?
Come on. So much, so much. I guess I'll start with the lessons I learned. One that never make assumptions ever. Like as soon as you think something will be a certain way,
Yeah.
you're wrong. You're actually wrong.
Mm.
Like you can make assumptions like, I reckon the sun's gonna come out tomorrow. Like, cool, good assumption, high, 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 high likelihood it could. But when you still play within that shadow of doubt, one, you like are humble enough to accept something beyond your assumptions, and two, you you don't get messed up when those expectations aren't met. And it was a real exercise time and time again of letting go of assumptions about people, about what the weather was going to be like. Oh,
Mm.
great. It's going to be sunny, pouring with rain.
Yeah.
Oh, no more hills. Great. My leg's killing me. Oh, wait, no, we've
It's a
still got to get
mountain.
down. We've still got to get down to El Acebo,
Yeah, yeah.
Um, like so that was a deep lesson that I'm still trying to integrate because
Yeah.
we live by assumptions. Our brains need to make assumptions to make sense of the world and keep us safe and keep things like orderly,
Yeah.
like keep things predictable. We look for predictability, but
Mm.
unfortunately predictability doesn't really exist in its truest essence.
Mm.
And so I've connected to that, the kind of mystery beyond what I think I know,
Yeah.
as well as just accepting death, like my own mortality as something that's, ever present. Um, like, or rather, that ever present sense that, I don't know how long I have.
Mm.
Um, so this truly is like a life that I need to live as fully as I possibly can.
Absolutely.
And then um just like that loss is such it's a beautiful and natural thing. And in fact, when I'd started the whole journey of going through Europe, my friend Josh and I were joking around, and he summarized travel as forming attachments, letting go, and grief, and then repeating that cycle throughout the
Yeah.
length of your traveling experience. And the Camino really exemplified that. Oh yeah, you form attachments that are so strong and beautiful and pure, or not.
Yeah.
You let them go, but regardless of how strong they were, you've let something go and you may never see it again. And so just I think getting more in touch with that deeper sense of just letting things go, is definitely something I'm living with. And I guess finally, just how fucking wonderful people are,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
how
absolutely.
how wonderful people are, and just that just that magic is real when you really need something. Like there's always someone. There's someone within, your sphere of reality that can give you exactly what you
Yeah.
need.
Humans can be altruistic, and that's probably one of the biggest and most beautiful things that I've learned from that experience is like the altruism of humanity is what keeps us thriving, and hopefully we can take that in the future if we don't mess it up too badly. Thank you so much for being on the show. It's great to see you. And give us your website address for the listeners.
Yep, absolutely.
What?
You can, if you want to follow my music, you can look up Blooming. You may have to be a little bit more specific than that and go Blooming Melbourne singer-songwriter. I'm in the process of coming out of a long hibernation with my music, but this has been a real Kickstarter for me. And yeah, you can find me on Spotify. You can find a couple of videos on YouTube. You can find me on Facebook. Um, Under Patrick Blooming, if you ever want to reach out and find out more about the Camino and talk things out. Um, yeah, I can give you my details and you can pass them on, Stu.
Yeah, I'll put them in the description. It's been wonderful to see you. And one last thing, buen camino.
Do you know, there were some moments where I got so sick of
Yeah,
hearing that, you know?
absolutely. It's like shut up, not again.
Shut up. Fuck your
It's a,
Camino.
it's not a good Camino. It's mostly with the tourists in the last 100 kilometers or whatever it
Yeah,
was. It's
oh
like,
my
oh,
God. Buen
yeah.
Camino. Oh God.
I've just done the last 400 miles. Shut up.
Yeah, where were you?
Exactly.
No, but buen camino to you too, Stu.
Yeah,
It's always a pleasure spending time with you and hearing your voice and seeing you again.
yeah,
And yeah, looking forward to seeing you sometime this year when I move to Europe.
yeah. It's weird. I always thought you lived in London. Don't know why. It's a strange thing. Well, hopefully, I'll see you sometime later in the year. It'd be wonderful. And
I'm walking the Portuguese trail.
oh, excellent, excellent.
Yeah,
When you're doing that?
sometime in July or August.
Oh,
So if
lucky you.
anyone wants to join me with my beautiful pink guitar, Juanita, get in touch.
Excellent. Namaste.
Namaste. Now must go.
Take care, mate. Bye,
See ya.
bye.